Oh, you know what? Let me just knock that light out in back of me.
Look at Evan's sound system there. He's got like a 1986 Betamax. What the hell is that?
A Yamaha.
A Yamaha Betamax VCR? Or,
No, it's a receiver.
do you remember Betamax?
No.
It was before VHS. They were smaller tapes, like that big. And then when the VHS came, they made a thing where you could put the Betamax in the VHS and stick it in your VCR.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Evan Centopani, you know, it's funny. I've been getting messages, and just yesterday I got another message. Please get Evan Centopani on. I just laughed.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I got him tomorrow. The guy was psyched. So say hello to Nate Tello. I think you guys have met. One time.
We didn't officially meet. Christine and I were training down at Montanari, and I texted you. I was like, Evan's here training legs now. And you're like, go up to him and say, hey. And I didn't want to bug him. He was doing his thing. I didn't want to interrupt his set. So, and before I could, I was going to catch him on his way out. He had already left.
Shit.
I texted you. I was like, my boy's there. You're like, I think I saw him. You're like, he was with some little girl, and he looked good.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, you were only like a few weeks out from a show there.
Yeah, I remember you. He looked really good.
Well, that was right after Bermuda. We'd come back. It was like several weeks post show.
Nice.
What'd you think of the gym, Nate?
Oh, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went down. So I'm right in downtown Boston. We went down and rented an Airbnb just to be able to train there, like Friday night into Saturday morning or whatever it was. Like just to get 2 sessions in. That was the whole purpose of the trip in the Airbnb.
It's so good.
How's it going? How are they open, or what's going on?
Yeah, they're open. When did they open? I think maybe it was June they opened. But yeah, they've been open. It's been busy. They get a lot of people traveling up from New York because the gyms are still closed there.
So what are the restrictions? I mean, does everyone have to wear a mask while they're training, or while you're from machine to machine?
Yeah, I mean, like during a set, you don't have to have it on, and you know, like I know they don't want to, break everybody's balls, but they've had like the whatever the hell it is, the COVID brigade, comes in and gives everybody a hard time, and then threatens to fine them and shut them down. So, they're just trying to comply and not get shut down. But so everybody's really been listening. So it's whether you think it's stupid or not, it's kind of just like, all right, we got to do this just to keep going.
Yeah, out of courtesy for everyone else. It may not bother you, but you got to do what you got to do. I don't love wearing the mask, but if it means I can go grocery shopping and go train, then I'll wear it. Yeah,
then so be it. I know, I'm the same way. I think that, I don't know, I mean, I'm not particularly worried about contracting it. And I figure if I do contract it, I should be healthy enough to get past it without a problem. So, obviously I don't want it, but I'm not going to live in fear of it and let it, stop me from doing whatever it is I need to do. Just, try to do it smartly. I mean, I feel like some people have been so affected by this, and I would never tell anybody how they should or shouldn't feel. But it's kind of a shame to see people, like some people are like still like holed up in their houses, like scared to leave and like just like waiting for their local or state government to be like, yeah, you can come out now. And that kind of sucks to see.
Yeah, those are the scared people who are scared of their own shadow anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just, whether it's in regard to this or anything else, I wouldn't want to live in fear,
Right. That isn't living.
Not really. I mean, not for me.
So Evan, let's jump right in here. It's been 4 years since you've been on stage.
Yeah.
And the New York Pro's coming up. I didn't even put 2 and 2 together when I asked you to come on. I was like, I just want to talk to you. But then I realized you're doing the New York Pro. Now, did you book your flight to Tampa? And how do you feel about this whole thing?
Well, since, it's only been a couple days, the news came out that the New York Pro will be in Tampa. To be honest, I don't think I'm going to do it because, when I selected New York as, the show for my comeback, New York's a really meaningful show to me. New York is where I did my first amateur contest. The New York Pro is where I did my first pro show. It made sense for it to be the place for my comeback. Family, friends, guys from the gym, everybody can be there. My kids, they've never seen me compete. So this, when I got the news that it was going to be in Tampa, it just was like, I can totally understand it as a business decision, so I'm not faulting that or anything. Just me personally, in terms of what it means to me, it's just not the same.
Yeah.
It just doesn't have a lot of meaning to me. So I don't know if that sounds stupid to people, but for me, I think I'm just going to have to. It's crazy because I've been dieting since February. I'm in, I wouldn't want to toot my own horn, but I feel confident saying I'm in really good shape at the moment. And I feel really pretty good about things, but I don't know.
I understand completely. We just had John De La Rosa on, and he talked a little bit about that. Saying it wouldn't be the same if he were to win in Tampa, because in New York, that's where he's from. That's where his family is, his friends. Everyone can come and be there and share it with them. It's really not the same. I mean, you already won the Tampa Pro. Why do you want to fly down there again?
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be you if you didn't have a meaning behind something you're doing. Everything you do has a reason.
Not to be complicated or anything, but that's just how I feel.
It makes sense. It makes perfect sense. You want your family there. You want, your kids to be able to see you on stage. And so that being said, have you even thought about the next step? Would you go to Chicago?
And then people are like, what about Boston? It's like, I know, but I wanted to do New York. I think I'm just going to wait and do New York in the spring, in May. I've made so much progress this year, improvements, with my training and stuff. And, Darren at the gym was taking a look at me the other day and he was like, dude, in some ways, he goes, I think this might be the best I've ever seen you. Now, I don't know if he was just being nice, but
he's pretty honest.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
And maybe it's been a long time since he's seen you in that kind of.
Maybe he could have just forgot what I look like.
Yeah. So, and that would give you another 8 months to make more improvements. Your training must be good.
Yeah, and it's not like, when people are like, yeah, but you've been dieting all this time. Oh man, what a shame. Like,
You're not a fat ass anyway.
What's that?
I said, you're not a fat ass that eats garbage all the time anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like, what's the worst thing that happened? I got in shape for the summer. Okay, that wasn't horrible. A lot of this, and I think you really understand this. You've been doing this a long time. It's not just about getting on stage. So, I mean, this gave me something to diet for, to work for, but I really do enjoy it, and there's a lot of people, I think they compete. Maybe you see it more among the amateurs, but they really hate prepping. Right. I think they hate training. I think they hate dieting. I think they hate it all. What's that?
They're prepping for Instagram, for instant gratification, where, you're prepping because you truly enjoy it.
Yeah, and I the other day I'm like, geez, I'm in shape right now. I don't even post any pictures. I guess I should be posting stuff, and I haven't. But it's just not. I don't know. I mean, I know it's hard to change, the way you think about it. Since the time I started this, it was always just something that I did because I enjoyed it, right? And like when you're training and stuff, you know how it is, man. Most of the time, you're not really that impressed with yourself, but every once in a while you get that moment, you've got a pump and you're like, okay, let me take my shirt off and see how I look. And for like, 10 seconds, you're really impressed with yourself. And that's kind of, as stupid as it sounds, it's kind of almost like what that gives you your satisfaction.
Yeah, of course. So are you going to maintain this look for a little bit longer before you 100% make that decision, or you let yourself go a little bit?
No, I've got a photo shoot next week.
Okay.
With Brian Moss for Animal. And I think I'm probably going to just keep going a little bit anyways, because I don't know. It's you know how it is. Every time you prep, it's a little bit of a learning process. And I don't know. I'm not so beat up that I'm like, oh my God, I need to be done with this. Like I'm fucking totally shot. So I don't know. I think I'm just going to keep going a little bit just for shits and giggles.
So if we made a 3-hour trip down to see you, we could film a little workout and get Evan in his prime. What are you weighing now? 285, 280?
No, dude. I'm like just below 260.
Are you really? So you're ready. You're
I'm
ready to roll.
I'm in pretty good shape.
And what were you, like 246 when you won New York back in 09?
When I won New York, I was 249. When I won the Flex Pro, I was 255. And then after that, at most of the Arnolds I did, I was somewhere in like 260, low 260s.
What look did you like the best?
Man, half the time I look at pictures from the first show I ever did at 225, and I really liked that look. So
yeah, you really streamlined.
Yeah, and I like that look.
Was that Atlantic States?
Atlantic States, yeah. When there's still a video floating around of that out there, and like when I pull that up and I look at it, I'm like, wow, that was a really good look.
It was a good look, but it was a good look for that time.
Yeah, the year that we both turned pro at Nationals, I think I weighed in at like 237 or 240 maybe. And I liked that look too.
Yeah.
I guess really the only look I didn't like is as it went on and I got a little bit heavier. There was a couple of them. There was one year I competed at like 270. I did the Arnold and I did the Australia, and it was big, but it just didn't. I don't know, man. I like looking really, really hard and even a little more streamlined.
So you're one of those guys. You have a really small waist, especially when you're sucked down. And it gives you a lot more flair to your quads. And if you're at a heavier weight, that's when people were criticizing you about your legs. You'll notice.
Yeah, it's like if you see me in an off season, even back when my legs were really, dare I say, kind of a strong point for me. Even then, in an off season, my legs didn't look like much. It wasn't until I would get in, contest shape and my waist would come down, and then you start getting all that separation, that my legs would even look impressive. So, yeah, in order for my legs to look good, if you sometimes another 10 pounds of stage weight doesn't always equate to looking bigger, oddly,
right?
Because it depends on where it goes, and a lot of time, unfortunately, a good bit of it's going to go to the waist.
Exactly. I talked about that a little bit in an interview I did. He's like, what was your best look? And I'm like, well, most people would think I would say 2015 when I won the Arnold. I was second at the Olympia. And I'm like, actually, 2013, it was a way better look because I was 4 or 5 pounds smaller with a much tighter waist. It wasn't until I was up around the 210 mark that shit just started popping out everywhere. I was hard as nails and I was able to win, but it wasn't necessarily my best look.
You don't even really feel good about it. You're struggling to hold everything in, and you feel really uncomfortable. Versus those times when you get up there and you feel pretty streamlined, and you're like, man, my waist feels like it's collapsing on itself.
Yeah, Yeah. No
It's really a
trouble
good
in a
feeling.
side tricep. When I was at my heaviest, I had to like throw my arm back. You could hear it slap against my side to reach. But when I was smaller, I could reach back easy, and you know,
Yeah.
I completely understand all that. So, speaking of the legs, give us a little update on what. Do that again. Put that arm out like that. Look at this guy's arm. Show us
What I
your
just
arm.
did. This.
Pull your sleeve up like that. Look at that, fucking dude. You're shredded. You're definitely lean. You're ready. Look at. It's like sandpaper. Oh, what a shame. So, dude, we're gonna drive down there. Let's arrange something. We'll come down and get a workout. Nate and I have been digging deep lately and having some great workouts. So I won't feel like such an amateur next to you. Well, visually I will, but I'll be able to train with you. So how are the legs? Give us an update on the legs.
They're good, you know. I'd be lying if I said that they had the same size as they did at, you know, my strongest, but they really at this point look pretty balanced. Like the injured one, you can't, at least, you know, and I'm pretty critical. I don't think you can tell that there was an injury. The shape is there, the separation is there. Like they look pretty there. They just need a little, they could use a little more size, you know, but the rest of me is in such condition at the moment that they really don't look bad. You know, I don't want to sit here, you know, no one wants to sit here and be like, they don't look bad. No, you want to go, you know, you want to be sitting here saying they look fucking nasty.
Yeah.
But you know, it's been a work in progress and it's continued to get better. And I know they will continue to get better. I've made some adjustments in my training. And it just seems so much more productive.
I was going to ask you that. Did you have to switch up the way you're training? Is there anything you can't do anymore? I know you were experiencing some pain, like right in the knee for a while.
Yeah, no more of that. Finally, that took forever to go away. You know, it took me a while to finally, I guess, not give up, but feel like squats just aren't doing it for me. You know, I've been doing a ton of split squats and they're brutal. And it's not like, you know, you're doing an isolation movement where you're like, okay, I can't load it the same way I would with a heavy, you know, free weight movement, because it is still a free weight movement. It's a compound movement and you could still load the shit out of it, you know, as heavy as you can go. And it's just the thing that I'm finding with it is just I'm able to have just better, stronger, safer mechanics with it. And, you know, times when I go back to squatting the day after, rather than being really nice and sore, you know, in my quads and stuff, I've got sore knees, a sore ass, and, you know, not a whole lot in the way of even actual quad soreness. Right. Whereas the way I'm doing it now, oh my God, the next day, you know, my quads are obliterated, my glutes too. So I don't know. I mean, I think it's better.
Are you doing them with your leg up on a bench or just like lunges split?
Yeah, no, I put my foot up a little bit. It's actually, I use like the roller on the leg extension that I have. So it's elevated a bit, but you know, first time I did them, I think was with John Meadows. And I'm like, oh, we're going to do this, you know, this girl movement. And it whipped my ass.
How heavy are you going? 2 plates, 3 plates?
No, I'm doing them with dumbbells, but I'm at the point where I'm holding 100-pound dumbbells in each hand. You know, and a lot of times I'm doing them maybe as part of a superset or whatever. So, you know, if you really think about it, right, if you're holding 100-pound dumbbells in each hand, that's 200 pounds, and that's on one leg. Right. So in theory, it should equate to around a 400-pound squat.
Right.
But you're doing it with better mechanics, going crazy deep. Everything is perfect, and it's hitting in all the right spots. So, you know, not to say that my feeling on it won't change or that I won't go through a period again where I'm doing more squats or whatever, but for right now, that adjustment I feel fuller in my quads in areas that they weren't full for a while, and just have like better all around just shape.
Is the repaired leg just as strong as the other one now?
To be honest, it's a little bit stronger.
That's awesome. That's good to hear. Then I mean, if it's strong, it's producing. It's got to be creating some tissue there, right?
Yes, definitely.
That's huge.
Definitely. It took forever, dude. I look at someone like Branch who came back like 7 months after that injury and competed and won the Arnold. And I'm just like, holy shit, that was crazy. To be fair, his legs were such a strong point
Right.
that I think he could stand to lose a little bit of tissue and it wasn't the end of the world. Plus, when he did get on stage, you could see a discrepancy from side to side.
But he was good enough to win.
Yeah, which is fucking mind-boggling. It's insane. Crazy.
He did it in less than 7 months, right?
7 months he did that. Dude, that's not even human.
No. That would take me that long to start training again. Like really training. Take
That's
3
just
months
crazy.
to heal. But Nate.
Evan, can you talk about your initial idea to build your home gym? A lot of us, when all the gyms shut down, obviously New York and New Jersey still shut down, everybody was frantically trying to put something together, a bench and a bar. But you were already ahead of the curve. You had this thing already, for the most part, I understand, built. What made you want to do that, having one of the best gyms in the country right in your backyard that you can train at? To me, that would almost be less of an incentive, having such a great bodybuilding gym. But what made you decide to go that route way before the quarantine?
Well, a lot of what it started.
It started with those guys stealing the damn squat rack next to you and mouthing off to you.
Oh, no. I bought a leg extension machine, right, years back, just after my injury to try to help me kind of rehab it a little bit. Obviously, leg extension isn't a great quad builder or anything like that. But I was having such a difficult time when I would go in the gym and I would do any kind of pressing movement with my legs. I would only get like sore in my glutes, and I felt like neurologically I wasn't really recruiting the quad muscles that well. So the thing that I found was if I did extensions in conjunction with any pressing movement, you kind of switch it on neurologically. You kind of do that little bit of a pre-exhaust. And then when you go to press, you're better able to get that mind muscle connection. But it was really a struggle because I was having such a hard time doing extensions because they were so painful to me. So I picked up this leg extension machine. It was a Body Masters, and I parked it in my basement, just that piece. And it stayed that way for a while. And then I decided, you know what, it would be good to maybe have like a rack down in my basement. If all you have is a barbell and some plates and and a bench, you can do a lot. You can add another, if you have a leg day at the gym, a conventional leg day on a Monday, nothing to say you can't run down your basement on a Thursday and just do 3 or 4 sets of squats, right? You don't do a full leg workout, but for me, I found that because my training wasn't as strong as it was, I had to rely on a little bit more volume and frequency at first. So it started with, okay, let me get a rack together, and that way I can do a couple more things. And then it was like, well, you know what? I come across some dumbbells, and I only had a small space to work with, but I pretty much figured out, okay, what I would consider essential. Because when it comes to arm training or shoulder training, you don't really need anything in the way of a machine or anything like that. But when you're training legs, even if you're doing, a barbell squat, a split squat, it's still nice to have an extension, a leg curl, something like a hack squat or something like that, a glute ham raise. So a lot of what I picked up was just leg training stuff. I also picked up a pec fly, which I could also use for rear delts. But, between the dumbbells, barbell, plate, rack, a few machines, there's nothing I'm not able to do in my basement. So, it was more just, I always like having the capability to do things myself, right? I could pay somebody in the wintertime to come and, plow my driveway and all that. And, most of the time it's not a problem. But what if the guy doesn't make it? What if he's overwhelmed? What if he blows the transmission in his truck? I always like having the ability to do things myself if I want to or if I need to. And oddly, who would have thought that the gyms would be closed? But it's kind of a prime example of being self-reliant. It's never a bad thing. If you have your own shit, it doesn't matter whether it's equipment, it's a chainsaw, it's training equipment. It's always good to have your own shit.
Sewing.
And, be able to do whatever it is you need to do.
We were talking about that a little bit before you came on, and I said that exact thing. I'm like, he likes to be self-reliant. He makes his own vegetables. He does his own work. What were you talking about, Nate? You bought a tractor.
John Deere tractor, right? That you were repairing.
I got 3 of them.
Yeah. So where does that come from? Is that something that you got from your dad? In this era, you either it's just easier to outsource it, whether people are lazy, or there's I value my time and I want to do things I enjoy, therefore I'll outsource everything I don't enjoy, right? So someone like yourself is odd man out by saying, I'll just learn to do it. And whatever the thing is, I'll figure it out. So where did that come from?
Well, what you just said is the way I used to think when I was younger, right? I'm growing up and, I see my dad doing all this stuff, okay, right? He's fixing the lawnmower, he's doing the plumbing, he's doing all this stuff himself, right? I'm thinking to myself, man, you spend all this time doing this stuff, and why wouldn't you just pay somebody? Now, my dad didn't go to college or anything, right? And he's been able to be more, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I guess successful is the right word. He has his own business. But I guess I look at him, and one of the things he's really, really good at is doing a lot with a little. It's impressive if you watch someone take a little bit of money and turn it into a lot of money. A lot of people grow up and, their parents give them money, they inherit this, they inherit that. And a lot of times they really don't make anything out of it. But with my dad, I saw the complete opposite, because he's someone who was never really given anything. And what he was able to create for himself was really incredibly impressive. So as I got older, I remember one time he was fixing the lawnmower and he'd spent hours on it, and he's motherfucking it and he's yelling at it. And, and I said, I'm like, Dad, why are you making yourself crazy? Why don't you just have somebody fix it? And he goes, well, if you want to quit and go do something, go ahead, but I'm going to figure it out. And, he stuck with it until he figured it out. And I've seen him my whole life do that with everything. He won't give up on anything, and he will it could be something he knows nothing about, and he'll keep working at it and working at it and working at it until he figures it out. Now, maybe some people might view that as a waste of time. I look at it and I think it's really, really impressive. That's a guy that he largely depends on himself. He doesn't have to pay people to do things for him. He does things when he wants them done. He doesn't have to wait 2 weeks for a carpenter to come to his house. He'll do it when he wants it done. And he'll save money in the process. So I guess it comes from him. And as I've gotten older, I've seen the value and seeing the value in being able to do things yourself. I make okay money. I don't make a ton of money. I think to myself, Jesus, if I had to pay somebody every little time I needed something done, I couldn't do it. Like, I think you have to know how to do things yourself. And I think there's value in it, just in and of itself. Now, like you said before, you're spending your time fixing tractors, and you could have been doing something that you wanted to do or something more enjoyable. What I've learned is to find enjoyment in pretty much anything. if I take a tractor, maybe it's not working, maybe cosmetically, it's worn out, and you go through a restoration process, you bring it back to life, you make it mechanically sound. You're building something, you're creating something, you're fixing something. And a lot of that for me is no different than what bodybuilding was for me. It was an opportunity really just for improvement, the opportunity to build something, and there's satisfaction always in that. So whether it's me cutting my lawn or fixing something or learning how to sew, the exercise itself, I think, is always valuable. Just like training, it doesn't have to be for a cover on a magazine. It doesn't have to be your career. You can just find pleasure and satisfaction in the process, in knowing that you improved yourself and that you learned something.
A lot of this you're doing on your own throughout your career. I mean, you've only used a coach, a small handful of times. You've done the majority of it on your own, and I'm assuming you're doing it by yourself right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think that, look, for me, it's part of a bigger thing, right? It's part of a mentality. When I look around, take, for example, what's going on right now with, you could pick any issue that's going on in society, a social issue, the health, the COVID epidemic, whatever it is, something political. And what I see a lot of, what I notice is that everyone always assumes that someone else knows more than them, that somebody else is the expert. They don't put any faith in themselves, right? Well, let me get this guy because I can't, what do I know? I don't know anything. Rather than try to figure it out, right? Why do you always got to put everything in someone else's hands? I think that's a big mistake. And I think, not to get in, too deep about it, but I think a lot of that is anti-American. You don't sit around and wait for the government to tell you what you can and you can't do. That's not what built this country. You know what I mean? If that's the way we thought, we would never be America. We'd still be a British colony. We wouldn't have been on the winning side in 2 world wars if we're sitting around going, oh, I'm fucking scared. Oh, the government say it's okay to do this? You know what I mean? Acting like a bunch of, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying people shouldn't be cautious, that people shouldn't be responsible, that people shouldn't take the time to educate themselves, but don't just take someone else's word for it. Don't just do it because the people on the news told you to be scared or because the government told you this. If you take the time and you see what's going on and you say, okay, this is the conclusion I come to, then I think that's fine. But I don't think a lot of people work that way. I think a lot of people want to be told what to do, just like a lot of people want to hire a prep coach, just like the people want to, I think a lot of it takes away responsibility. So if you make the wrong choice, you say, well, he told me to do it. It's not my fault.
Yeah.
It's there's a lot more that comes with, being the boss. When you're the boss, yeah, okay, I guess you've got the luxury of doing what you want when you want, but everything lies on your shoulders. It's your ass. So, and I think a lot of people don't want that. They'd say, well, you know what? I'll settle for, working under somebody else's command and let them have all the stress, let them have the responsibility, let them have the headaches because I don't fucking want it, which is fine. It's totally fine. But I think a lot of times if you look to the past and you look at what people have done great things, whether it's inventions, innovations, and it's still going on, of course. But they didn't do those things. Those things didn't happen. Those things happened because people took command. You know what I mean? And they made decisions themselves. And it's about enterprise and it's about, autonomy, all these things. And I think a lot of times people don't realize what it is that they're giving up. So for me, it's just more of a mindset, right? Being in control, of myself, of my destiny. Yeah, it comes with more responsibility, and you know, I might fuck up. I don't always know the answer, but I'd like to try to figure it out.
The word that keeps coming to mind is accountability. A lot of these people don't want to be held accountable for what they're doing. So they'll hire a prep coach because then they can point the finger and say, well, he had me do this. I used too much diuretic. I looked unbelievable the day before and he fucked me up, you know? And it's the same idea as with this whole pandemic shit. Like, you know, they're waiting. They're saying that they say, I can't do this. I can't do that. I don't know who to believe. So I just try to live as, you know, like you said, try to be somewhat safe and respectful of other people's concerns. But
yeah, of course,
I'm going to live as much as I can.
That's right. You know, I mean, I'm going to get done what I feel I need to get done. Look, I'm not going to go someplace and touch a bunch of things and then lick my fingers. You know, I wouldn't do that anyways. I'm not going to go someplace and huddle around with a bunch of people and all breathe in each other's faces, but I'm not going to do that anyways. So I'm going to go out. Okay, I'll wear a mask. I'll wash my hands. And I just won't be a stupid ass. And I think I'll be okay.
What kind of world are we living in where people have to tell you to wash your hands or not to breathe in someone's face?
Look, I see people driving down the road in their car by themselves wearing a mask.
I love those people.
And I think to myself, and hey, do whatever you want, right?
They were never slapped as a child.
Well, I just thinking to myself, did you think about what you're doing and does that make sense? I think that's an example of someone who's doing that because they were told, but they didn't think to themselves, does this make sense? Do I need to be wearing this, you know, when I'm sleeping at night? And when I'm in the shower?
Yeah.
You know, what do? You put a mask on and take a shower in the morning? So
only if
I said something to that effect on social media, and people jumped down my throat and they said, well, actually, you're wrong, because once you put the mask on, it's not supposed to come off because you touch it and then you contaminate it and, you know, yada, yada, yada. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm still going to do what I'm going to do. And that's what I've been doing, right? Now it's been months. And I say to myself, well, it must be a wonder I'm still alive, right? Because
it's only Guy's sister Nino that catches it. He's been the only one.
Can you believe Guy's got COVID?
Of course.
Of course he's got it. He's got chlamydia. The chlamydia 19. I'm like, how the hell did you get it? I don't know. A guy I trained with, he got it, and he's got the antibodies. Yet he's still in the gym training, doing his videos. I bust his balls so bad on it. I'm like, you managed to get everything there's possible to get.
Yeah, always. And look, obviously the virus is real, right? I'm not disrespecting it. I'm not saying any of those things. All I'm saying is make sense of things in your own mind and do things because it makes sense to you. And whatever decision you come to, if you decide not to leave your house for the next however many months, but it was because, you know, you've observed this and this is what makes sense to you, well, then that's fine. But I'm saying don't just do it because that's what the government told you or, you know, it's what the guy on the news told you. And I think a lot of the time that's the case. And I think that's kind of a bummer. Because people are saying, well, the guy on the news, he knows more than me. Or the government, they know more than me. And I think to myself, well, the fucking government's however many $1 trillion in debt, right? The government makes all the mistakes that they tell you not to make. So I'm going to say, well, why am I going to assume the government knows more than I do? Right? They do everything wrong. The post office has been like ready for, bankruptcy for how many years? They haven't made a profit. But I'm going to listen to the government because they're supposed to know more than I know. I don't know if that sounds arrogant on my part, but what I'm saying, people, is don't just assume everyone else always knows more than you. Have some self-belief, you know?
That's a great point. So,
Go ahead,
what,
Jose.
what are you doing right now? I know you're still with Universal. You have your website and YouTube stuff, and are you coaching a lot? Is that picked
Yeah,
up?
I've
Or
got a
did
good.
it go down because of the COVID? A lot of the shows
No,
are canceled.
surprisingly, it stayed really busy. I would think, because a lot of people were maybe out of work or whatever. I expected it to slow down, but I don't know if people, they just maybe took their stimulus money and, uh, you know, bought some coaching or whatever else. But no, it's been busy. So there's that, and I'm always doing something.
So we were talking earlier. Something that I hugely respected about you, just one of many things, but you've been with Universal forever, and you did take a short hiatus with
Yeah.
what was the company? It was Singerman and PJ's company there.
Let's not even say the name.
All right. Oh, I don't even know the name. I was trying to remember the
No.
name of the company, but you walked away from a pretty good deal as far as we knew, and it was a very admirable thing you did, just because you had a difference in beliefs. Where a lot of competitors would have said, "I don't care what they're doing. I'm getting a check." And what made you? I know what made you, but tell the people what made you say. You don't have to say any facts, but
Yeah.
what
Well,
makes you different? Where the money
well,
is what it's about.
like we were talking about earlier, right? About the New York Pro. Most people would say, well, dude, you dieted all year. What do you mean? You're not going to just get on a plane and go? That's stupid.
Right.
I don't feel it. You know what I mean? And I don't know if I sound like a jerk or something, but whatever I do, I've got to feel it. It doesn't matter what it is, right? I don't know, I got to be on board with it mentally. I got to feel it. I got to want to do it. And when my heart's not in something, I can't do it. I just can't do it. It doesn't, the money doesn't matter. Nothing really matters, to be honest. It's gotta resonate with me, right? It's gotta speak to me, right? We could, look, the car I drive, okay, is almost 20 years old, right? It's basically a Pathfinder. Infinity made it. They're called a QX4, right?
Yeah.
It's my third one. I love them. Okay, great truck. It's 20 years old. Most people probably go, dude, why are you driving a car that's 20 years old?
Hey, isn't that Japanese?
It is. It is.
We're gonna have to talk.
Well, I've been through it with Chevys. I've been through it with Jeeps. And every time I buy an American SUV, I always get my ass kicked. And, if I was buying brand new, I would buy American. Seeing as I'm buying something used, I don't feel quite so bad about it. I'm buying it from some guy and I'm giving him, his $6-7 grand for it and whatever. But if I was buying new, I probably wouldn't be able to buy something not American with a clear conscience. But my point being, there's a lot of cars I could buy, right? Different price range, whatever it is. I like that car. That's what I want to drive. Now, I bet you if you took a race car driver, right? Or there's guys, here's a good example. There's guys that have car collections, right? All sorts of maybe historical, maybe they got Bugattis and Maseratis and old Ferraris and all sorts of cars, right? I bet you'd be shocked if they told you what their favorite car was to drive. Because I bet you it's not the fanciest, craziest one. It could be something totally simple. But when you drive it, you just fucking like it. So what I'm saying is no matter what I do, whether it's a car I drive, look at the shoes I wear. I wear these, the stupid shoes I wear?
They look like little Vans or something, like little loafers.
Yeah, they look like loafers, slippers, whatever it is.
Yeah.
I like those. They speak to me.
Yeah.
So that's just how I feel. And I don't really care if nobody else likes it or people think it looks stupid or if people think I'm a bum because the car I drive is 20 years old. That's just, I don't know. It's just what I like.
That's a great answer. It's it's what I knew already, but I was trying to get it out of you.
Were you ever concerned, after your leg injury, the trend, and we had Sergio on last week, and Sergio was saying story after story, I'm 1 month out from a show, supplement company dropped me. We had John De La Rosa on yesterday. He had his ups and downs stories, and were you ever concerned that revenue was going to go away as soon as it was clear you weren't going to be able to compete anytime soon?
Well, I mean, I've always known, through my relation, what's been a many year relationship with Animal and Universal, that my value or my worth to them wasn't solely based on my competing and or my competitive success. Now, if I'm prepping for a show, if I'm out there, whatever, that's all good stuff, right? It's stuff for them to follow. It produces content, all that stuff. It's great. But, they told me this early on. I mean, if I'm going to go way back, right? If I go back to when I was still an amateur and I first got approached by companies, right, offering me contracts.
When did you sign? 06?
06, end of 06, I signed with Animal.
It's crazy.
And, you receive contractual offers, and you can tell by the way that the contracts are detailed, you get a feel for how the company thinks, what they place value on, and so on and so forth. Universal was different right off the bat. Now it could be something of a double-edged sword, because, like, say, for example, a company like BSN, right? BSN was real big back then, right? And they were making tons of money, and they had money to throw around. And they said, well, if you win this, you're going to, we'll give you this kind of bonus, big bonuses, this, that, and the other thing. Now, it wasn't that way with Animal, but I just got a better feel for them as a company. Again, yeah, okay, you want to be compensated, but it's not all about the money. And even back then, I at least had enough sense to realize that there was potential for a long-term relationship. At least that's what I thought, and that proved itself to be true. Now, at this point, I probably have the longest running contract
I was going to say that.
of anybody in the industry. I don't know. Maybe there's someone out there with a longer running relationship with a company, but
wasn't Vinny Galante with them for forever too?
Long time. Yep.
That says a lot for Universal, that they
it says a ton. It says a ton. Look, just before I was signed with them and before I knew them really as a company, they immediately set themselves apart just with the way they conducted themselves. You could tell the things they placed value on, and they were just different. And I was able to pick up on the fact that they resonated with me. Again, this is another, it's just another example of me getting a feeling and saying, all right, I look at their message as a company. I look at their style. I look at what they put out. You're never going to see an Animal ad and it's just some girl with her boobs hanging out and, just some kind of sex sells type of thing. There's always more to it. And that, again, that spoke to me. That's something I could be proud to be a part of. It was a lot of things, but
it was you in a dirty basement with a baseball. It was you in a dirty basement with a baseball cap on. That's the ad I remember.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, that's cool. I mean, that's real.
Right.
And it shows. Look, taking some pretty girl and exploiting her assets, okay, is the oldest trick in the book. Okay, that doesn't take any creativity. It's been done.
With building muscle.
I'm sorry.
What does that have to do with building muscle?
Well, what does it have to do with building muscle, and what does it have to do with good marketing? There's no message there, right? Now, Animal always had more of a message. There was always more to it, and that shows quality. You know, that shows some intellect. It shows some class, and they by and large set themselves apart from all the other companies by doing that. And they still do it to this day.
They were one of the very first supplements I ever used. My brother had a big jar of the Animal Pack, the little packets with like 7 or 8 pills in them, and they had everything in there. It was basically their multivitamin Animal Pack. I didn't know what the hell was in there, but
it was one of the first things I took. After a protein powder, Animal Pack was the first supplement I ever took.
Yeah, me too.
And
you still
and
use
it was something I still use them.
They still make
them.
them.
But it was good. You know, I mean, I remember I was 16, working out in my basement. You know, when you take an Animal Pack and you're like, holy shit, I feel this stuff. Like, you know, I feel a little bit better using it.
I feel one of the pills that's about this big. It's caught in my throat. They were gigantic, like horse pills. I had to drink a gallon of water just to get it down, but I did it.
Just, you know, this is another thing to consider. They're one of the few companies that does their own manufacturing. Now, if you look at what's going on in the industry, look, anybody could look. Things have changed so much in the industry. All these brands have popped up overnight. It used to be more, you know, big players. You know, it was Twin Lab and EAS and, you know, Matrax. You had to be a big company because a lot of it was based on marketing. You had to have advertising dollars. You had to be able to buy advertising space in magazines. The magazines were still booming. Pages were expensive. So if you were going to be a supplement company, you had to at least be legitimate in the sense that you had some money behind you. Now, the old way, what I just described, was good in a way because a lot of the companies, they did their own manufacturing. Nowadays, anybody can just pop up overnight, design some packaging, contract, you know, get a third-party manufacturer to make their products. They have no clue what the manufacturer, if it's meeting label claim or not. There's so much crap being produced, whereas in contrast, you've got a company like Animal, Universal, who owns all of their own manufacturing. Not to mention the fact they've been in business since 1977, okay? That says something, okay? That means something. In a world of fly-by-night companies, they're a brand that has an extreme amount of legitimacy. They're able to produce their own products. They're able to test their own products. And when they put something on the label, they're able to know that what's in the bottle, you know, that what's on the label is in the bottle, okay, that it meets label claim. There's a large value in that. And unfortunately, a lot of the younger consumers, I think they don't realize that. You know, they may see a brand and it's flashy or whatever it is, and maybe it's the latest thing. And they don't realize that just because it's on the label, and like, holy shit, this looks great. Dude, that might not even be in the bottle. So, yeah, look, through and through, whether it's their marketing, whether it's their manufacturing, whether it's the way they treat their athletes, Animal has set themselves apart. And simply put, they're just a legitimate company. In an industry filled with, I don't know what the word is. Let me just say, I don't know, you know, fly by night or really just kind of jerk off companies. Right? They don't do things right. They treat their athletes lousy. They're scummy. Yeah. They put out trashy marketing. They don't look to give anything back to the bodybuilding community. And these guys are the total opposite. So I'll stop talking because, you know, I don't want to talk to them. I'm sorry?
Did you got your point across?
Yeah.
So I know that in a few of these things you've gotten involved in some of the formulation. Is this, say, if and when your partnership with them is no longer, is this something you'd be interested in doing yourself, starting your own brand? Well, would it be worth it to you?
I don't know. You know, it's a. First of all, you know, I guess the main question is, number one, is it something that really, really thrills me? You know, is it something I would be crazy about? You know, I'd get out of bed in the morning and be like, I can't wait to make the next product. Now, there's only going to be so many products you make, and then a lot of it's going to come down to marketing, right? Now, how excited could I get myself about marketing? I don't know. No, it's not really something I think about. Unless I had an idea for something like a really novel product. Look, I would never just put out a line of products that's just, you know, it's got my label on it, right? It would have to be something unique and something missing, something that people need. Maybe they don't know they need, but you're like, man, this shit is really going to help people. This stuff is really going to make their lives easier, better, make their training more effective, whatever it is.
Maybe
and even if I,
remember
I'm sorry?
that cleanse, that tea you made for me?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I swore by it. Like that year when I used it, everything I ingested moving forward, like hit me so much more intensely. And it was the best year I ever had in bodybuilding.
It was a great product. And truth be told, it's a product that I think the industry needs because, you know, a lot of people do things that are unhealthy and, you know, who wouldn't benefit from essentially more efficient detox?
Tell us what it is and what it was. You gave me they were in like giant pickle jars. You gave me like 4 of them at a time, and I would drink like a cup of it twice a day.
Right.
And it I don't know anything about the detox but that year was definitely the best year of my bodybuilding career.
It ended up being a huge hit with women because it cleared up their skin. Like girls with problematic skin would use it and be like, holy shit, I've had acne, I've used Accutane, I've used this, I've used that. And this is the only stuff that clears up my skin. And even girls that didn't have bad skin would be like, holy crap, I use this and my skin just glows. You know, I don't know if I lost interest in the sense that I was worried that people might perceive it, you know, how it might be received in the sense that, you know, look, unfortunately, you're held against the fact that there's all these other companies coming out with detox teas, you know, that are junk and they're cheese and they're, you know, everything else. So might people receive it that way? Possibly. If I was ever going to do something, I would want to do it with Animal, with Universal, just because, you know, we've got that relationship. But, you know, truth be told, would an entire population of bodybuilding and or fitness people benefit from a product that would help them clean out their liver and all this stuff? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
That's why I was wondering why you never pushed it. Like, you know, you could have sold it on your website, or I don't know if there'd be trouble with shipping and quality control and whatnot.
Well, the point I got to, there was a local manufacturer who I was using to produce small batches. And it was a thing that as the batch size grew, basically maintaining the potency of it, or not maintaining the potency, but keeping consistent potency, they weren't necessarily set up for a product like this. So there was a little bit of frustrations and whatever. And, you know, other things happened. My second daughter was born and, you know, it just kind of got pushed to the side a little bit.
Life happens.
Life happens.
Evan, so you strike me as somebody that's very methodical in that, like, obviously you're going to do things that you enjoy, but you've thought through the process before you go to do something, right? You're not just I'm going to wing it. What does your 5-year plan look like? Obviously there was just getting back to the stage, rehabbing your leg, getting your body back to the point of where it was before. What's that 5-year plan look like, both within bodybuilding and outside of bodybuilding?
Right. Well, there's obviously a continued interest to bodybuild, get on stage, continue my relationship with Animal, Universal. Outside of that, one of the things I really need to do, and I know I need to do it, and I haven't done it, is grow my YouTube channel, because I have a lot of ideas for videos that I think would be massively helpful and interesting to people. I think it would be really unique. And that interests me. unfortunately, you know, being someone who likes to do everything himself, right? And I can't video myself. Well, to a degree I can, but it's honestly, it's just been frustration and then a little bit of, to be honest, just laziness and not following through and finding someone local to team up with to move this project forward. But that's something I would like to do a lot with. Because I think it honestly could be huge.
It makes sense in that I think, you know, Jose and I were talking earlier in that you're viewed by everybody as like a man's man, a bodybuilder's bodybuilder. Everybody looks up to you and respects you. It's like very much like how I would see Jose. There's not a lot of people talking bad about Jose who know Jose. You're in that camp. And with the success of, say, like John Meadows with his YouTube channel, I don't know, it's hundreds of thousands of subscribers. He has videos out with 1 million views. Obviously, you've been on Fuad's podcast. Fuad's doing something great and really growing that. You know, both of those guys, I could see you very much in that John Meadows camp of just providing great content, but also being able to really monetize it and getting the views to back it up. You know, when Jose and I started this, it was a frustration of all of the crap that's out there, you know, that's bodybuilding, right? Whether it be interviews of Generation Iron type stuff or, so we just wanted to contribute something in our own way of having guys like yourself on and peeling back the layers beyond what you see on stage. But there's obviously so much you can contribute, and the content that you've done for other people, saying to Jose, one of your bodybuilding.com videos of how a bodybuilder eats was almost at 9 million views, you know, so you've been a hit for everyone else's platform. It makes sense that you would take it to your own and build that up.
And a lot of it though is just purely out of interest, right? Purely out of a desire to be like, there's so many different things that I'm into, right? And I just feel like I would like to give people a look into different things, right? I don't want to just talk bodybuilding or talk this or talk that. I want to have just a veritable just variety show, right? Of a YouTube channel.
Like Kai Green?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, he's been putting out variety shows where he's dressed up as a woman in drag and all kinds of stuff, like skits.
Yeah, not quite what I had in mind, but
we thought the same thing, Evan. That's what I said when we were discussing, let's do this. I'm like, I can only talk so much bodybuilding. I mean, I love it, but you can only hear so much about protein and carbs and reps and how much you bench. And we wanted to get more into who the person is. And in most of our interviews have been all real interesting people who I say would have been successful in anything they'd done. You know, not just bodybuilding, just very, you know, intelligent people, interesting people. And that to me is more what I want to do. I you know, you get burnt out by bodybuilding and just talking the nonsense.
I know.
As much as I love it, I'm more intrigued by the people.
I think what people miss is that there's so many things that come along, like almost like these little side effects of being a bodybuilder. Like, for example, right, it's hard to buy clothes. I'm sure you experienced that, right? But I'm sure I found little things along the way, little, I don't know if I want to call them hacks or, you know, certain brands, certain things you can do. There's even a place online, okay? You can send them measurements. They'll make you jeans.
Yeah.
If you send them a suit, they'll copy it. All things that I think would be really interesting material. I mean, okay, so you go into clothing, you go into, you know, shopping, food sourcing, food production, you know, you go and visit food manufacturers. There's just so many things that are related to bodybuilding, but at the same time have nothing to do with bodybuilding. But I think people would find really interesting and useful, because they're things that I've had to call on. They became necessary because I'm a bodybuilder.
Right. So do you have a deal with iZod, or is that just your favorite shirt? Yeah.
No, I just like this shirt. Why, do I wear it a lot?
Yeah.
Do you see me in it a lot?
No, you do wear things similar to that a lot though.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
collared shirts that I'm always wondering how the hell he's wearing that thing.
Oh,
It's got to be like a 5X. How does that fit on your arm? Because
yeah.
they're
It doesn't.
tapered arms.
It doesn't fit very well.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. So we've had you on here a while. I know you're a busy dude. I want to ask you one more thing about bodybuilding. About
Yeah.
your thoughts on the Tampa Pro, on Hunter Labrada, young talent coming up, and just your overall thoughts on that and in the upcoming Olympia, if you think it's even going to happen. If you,
Right. Well, I think the Olympia will happen because Nevada, whether it's a state like Nevada, Florida, et cetera, they seem very open to business and keeping things open and going. So I do think the Olympia will happen. I don't know what that'll consist of in terms of will there be an expo and all that. As for Tampa, going into the show, I saw pictures of Hunter and I was like, wow, kid looks incredible. I mean, he's missing nothing. He's completely balanced. He just looks just totally standout. The conditioning, the thickness, everything. He's missing nothing. And that proved to be enough, for him to go and win his pro debut, which is incredible. I have to be honest, I didn't see pictures of the lineups or whatever, so I can't comment on, how other guys compared to him and all that stuff. But,
it wasn't overly close. You had Ian Valliere in second, and he was off from his best.
okay.
So there wasn't a whole lot. The third guy was a 212 guy that moved up, who looked really good. But
what did Hunter weigh? Do you know?
I think he said he was like 244.
Wow, that's big.
Yeah, and he's a few inches shorter than you. He's
Yeah.
like 5'9".
Yeah, I mean, considering that height, that's a really good weight.
Yeah, his legs have just exploded in the last year or so. I mean, his legs were enormous.
But I saw a picture of a rear double bicep, and I was like,
Yeah.
it was Flex Lewis-esque.
I've been saying this for months now. Like, he's like a taller version of Flex. He doesn't have the density of Flex yet, but I mean, the shape is all there. He's got the huge calves. He's got the similar shaped glutes, and not that I'm into shaped glutes, but he's. It's funny you just said that. I think it's going to be interesting if he gets a call out with Flex at the Olympia. That's exciting,
Oh, that's right. Flex is doing the Open. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah.
Wow, that'd be interesting, huh?
Yeah. How crazy.
How much do you follow the sport? Like, since you've been out, there's some guys that are on top of it every show, and there's other people that just turn it off. Where do you fall in that?
I don't intentionally, not pay attention or anything like that. But
you're busy.
I always say even from the time I started, I've always been kind of a lousy fan. I never bought magazine subscriptions. I never bought DVDs. I never, paid for VIP tickets at shows. Maybe I'm just cheap.
Well, didn't the way you got into bodybuilding kind of, it's not like you were this huge bodybuilding fan growing up. It's like you were overweight, you lost weight, you got into, exercising, and then someone was like, dude, you should do a show, right?
Yeah. It just kind of evolved. It's not like I was someone, with posters on his wall, dreaming about being a pro and all that. It just, I always loved bodybuilding, like just the activity, the process and doing it. And, maybe at the risk of sounding self-centered or self-consumed, I was always just focused on that and just doing my thing. But, if I know something's coming up or someone mentions it or I happen to see it, I love watching bodybuilding. I love seeing it. I mean, I'm always interested and excited. What? Why are you laughing?
You're just a riot. You're funny. Your answers. I know you, and I'm laughing because you're a funny bastard. So give me a quick. How do you think Flex is gonna do? You got if everyone shows up. If you get Rami, Bonac, Rolly, Phil, Curry, is Flex in that first call out?
I think he could be top 6. I mean, it's going to be hard. Well, look, you know something? I shouldn't say that because look at someone like Bonac. Look at the fucking destruction.
He could be top 2. He could be.
Look at the destruction somebody like Bonac does. And he's not, he's very heavily muscled. He's very thick, but so is Flex. Yeah. So, my initial tendency is to say, well, against a bigger guy. But, dude.
Are they really bigger or are they just taller?
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, no, I think Flex, having a second to think about it, I think sky's the limit, really.
Right. How exciting is that?
Now that is exciting.
Yeah.
That I want to see.
Yeah, I wanted to get your opinion on that. You're so out of the mix, you're not even remembering that he was doing it.
No, I know. I'm a jerk. I'll go to the Olympia and work there and stuff, and I don't even go to the show because I don't have tickets, and I don't know. I'm not going to buy them.
Right.
So I'm just sitting there in my hotel room, watching the live stream like anybody else. But no, it's exciting. It's very exciting.
And what do you think about Phil coming back? Do you think?
I think it's great. I don't think he ever should have left.
I agree with that.
Phil catches so much shit from people, dude, and I think he's so much better than anybody wants to give him credit for.
Yeah. When you're great, you can only go one way, and that's people trying to take you down.
It's brutal.
He is arguably the greatest. He's certainly one of the top 2, 3 greatest physiques of all time. You can't argue that.
Let's put it. I got asked this question, and then I kind of got laughed at. Someone said, how do you think Phil would do against Ronnie? Now, Ronnie is from another fucking planet. Right. Okay, we all know that. He's not even human. Do I think Phil would beat Ronnie? No. Do I think Phil would look out of place next to Ronnie? Hell no. No. Look, people argue about, how would Dorian fare against Ronnie, and that's a debate in and of itself. But I think whether it's Ronnie, whether it's Dorian, whether it's Phil, I think they would all be a lot closer than people realize because they all have different strengths.
Yeah.
No, Phil was a tremendous look how many people were like, oh, he's narrow, right? That was what he was said about him for years. He's fucking narrow. Okay. Well, he's standing there next to Jay Cutler, one of the biggest bodybuilders ever, and he didn't look narrow.
Right. If guys like LeBron and Sean Ray and Flex Wheeler, they were all close to Ronnie. They all took their turns coming in, near him. And none of them ever showed up looking like Phil does at his best.
Phil's wild. Phil is wild looking.
That's what I say to people. I say there's only in this Olympia this year, the only other person who has that type of muscle is Flex. That type of dense, separated, striated, everywhere muscle is Phil and Flex. And that's why they're 7-time champions each. There is that certain type of muscle I'm describing that there's people who are hard, there's people who are big, but then there's people who are crazy, separated, striated with paper thin skin
and just cartoonish.
Right.
Just cartoonish.
Right. And that's Phil.
That's Phil.
If he shows up like that, I have a hard time thinking anyone can beat him.
I agree.
I have a feeling he's gonna. I think he's gonna, he's gonna be hungry.
Has there been any word on Sean Roden? What's going on with this thing?
you know, some people are saying, oh, he's training, he might be doing it. But man, this trial's been dragging on for what? It's going to be 2 years in September, right? October.
In a while.
That's craziness that it isn't settled yet. I feel so bad for him because either one way or the other, right. he lost a lot of money, a lot of contracts and job opportunities.
Well, and the thing is, if it turns out that it didn't happen as it was said, or that it wasn't true, which, you see happen often, someone, accuses a guy of something and, maybe you see it all the time. It happens to maybe a kid in college or whatever. Well, by the time it's said and done, college career is over. Yeah. Athletic opportunities over. So I don't know. I mean, hopefully, obviously, I don't know what happened or didn't happen. So the only thing I could say is that whatever the truth is, hopefully that comes out, and whichever side deserves justice gets justice. I don't know, but anyways, yeah.
45 years old. I mean, they just took a couple vital years from him.
Yeah, which, depending on what happened, I don't want to be unsympathetic because, maybe what said was happened did happen. So obviously in that case, my heart would go out to this woman.
Right.
But I don't know. So I can't say one way or another, but I guess the only thing you could really hope for is, swift and accurate justice.
Right. Well said, Mr. Centopani. You got anything else for him?
No.
No. All right. Thank you so much, brother.
All right. Thanks for having me. Good talking to you.
I'm going to be in touch with you. I definitely want to come down and train.
Come down and train.
And do they have any limitations down there? Can we come down there and film some shit?
No, of course.
I'll call Darren and let him know I'm coming.
Absolutely.
Everything else is good? Family's good?
Everything's good.
Everything's good. You look good. Yeah. I look forward to seeing you.
I look incredibly small in this picture on the phone.
Yeah, we minimized it because we didn't want you to look bigger than us. You're on your phone?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's great. I could just use mine too.
Well, you're on your laptop?
Yeah, I wanted to be fancy and get more of me because I wanted to be able to see this shirt.
That shirt looks really good on you.
It does, right?
It's so plain and so simple, but something about it's just kind of cool.
Dude, it's a great material too. It's so soft.
It is. Those were really good shirts.
Yeah, look at this too. The official Centopani tag on there. These things are badass. You still selling them?
No, I got to do it. I just, you know what? I just have to do more.
You're going to do another run of these.
I need to do another run of everything.
Yeah. Get some more cooking videos up.
I know. I need to do that too. Everyone's asking for them.
You're an unbelievable cook. That time I was over and you made mussels. Oh, my.
Oh, that was good, huh?
Yeah. Unbelievable mussels and salad from the garden. And unbelievable.
That was good.
All right, man. Thanks again. I'll be in touch, and this will be up soon. So we'll send you a copy of it, the link and everything.
When you come down to train, let's eat.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, good.
All right, we'll set it up.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Evan.
All right, later.